You all remember the Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia match where I told you all we might be seeing an upset? The same is about to befall Gervonta Tank Davis if he doesn't step up his game, as Frank Martin is planning an all-out assault on him when they meet on June 15th. Frank Martin plans to stay close to Tank's powerful hand, use his left to deflect it whenever Tank tries to launch it, and then come in with his left hand. More so, impose a kind of Fury style where Frank lean on Tank, rough him up with his head and probably open a cut on his face, and keep the fight on, making Gervonta fight for his life to protect his undefeated record. And you want to know what, guys? There won't be any rehydration clause here because Frank is natural 135-pounder. You might just need to watch this video to the end as I spill some new info I just got from my secret source.
Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin, June the 15th. How does it end?
Ass whooping. On site.
Why do you guys think Gervonta Tank Davis isn't trying to be friendly and wants to get in Frank's head? I told some of you all that this is a season of revival for Derrick James, and Frank Martin might be the next revelation as he plans to approach Tank different from all fighters. So during the face-off, Tank had to get close to Frank so he can start questioning himself. But all that isn't working because he needs to look for another strategy. He might need to her eyes off Lomachenko for now because Frank won't be an easy work. Derrick James and Frank Martin are working on implementing a Kronk-style approach to counter Davis's aggressive style. The Kronk gym, famous for producing legendary fighters like Tommy Hearns, is known for its aggressive and offensive tactics. James and Martin believe that adopting this style will give them the edge they need to nullify Davis's power and speed. They are focusing on high-intensity training and conditioning to ensure that their fighter is prepared for the challenges ahead. The goal is to disrupt Davis's rhythm and prevent him from dictating the pace of the fight. With the Kronk-style strategy in place, James and Martin are confident that they can lead their fighter to victory. Frank the Ghost Martins is seriously upping his defense game. This is what he plans to do. In boxing, defense is crucial, especially when facing a powerful and aggressive opponent like Gervonta Tank Davis. To nullify Davis's strengths, Frank is implementing the following. Keeping a tight guard. This means keeping your hands up to protect your face and body. By maintaining a tight guard, you can block or deflect incoming punches, minimizing the impact of Davis's strikes. This is similar to what Terrence Crawford did against Errol Spence. Since Tank liked to come in with power shots, Frank intends to use a tight guard to nullify him, and when those power shots ain't landing like what happened against Isaac Pitbull Cruz, we know Tank will be forced to box. Constant movement. Remaining stationary makes it easier for Davis to target you. Constant movement, including lateral, side-to-side, and backward movement, can make it harder for Davis to land clean punches. It also helps you create angles for counterattacks. But I am not taking one thing away from Davis. He can box backward too. That was how he knocked out Rolly Romero. So, Frank will not try to keep him on a back foot, but a balanced movement making Tank see a knockout opportunity and then using his movement to dodge the punches. Using footwork. Good footwork is essential for effective defense. By moving around the ring, you can create distance from Davis, making it harder for him to reach you with his punches. You can also use footwork to pivot and change angles, making it more challenging for Davis to predict your movements. Evasion. Evasion techniques, such as slipping, bobbing, and weaving, can be effective against Davis's punches. Derrick James has studied what fighters like Leo Santa Cruz did right and wrong before eventually getting knocked out, and one thing he didn't get right was evading Tank's uppercut. Expect some slick evading movement from Frank the Ghost Martin. These movements involve moving your head and upper body to avoid incoming punches while staying in a position to counterattack. This is what Gervonta Tank Davis liked to do when he wants to break down an opponent, bring an uppercut and crossing to the face. According to info, Derrick is making Frank go through some sharp reflexes training. So when Ryan Garcia told you guys, Tank won't beat Frank, well, you guys might be in for a treat. So how does Frank plan to put his offense together? You can expect the following. Movement. Movement is crucial when facing a dynamic and powerful fighter like Gervonta Tank Davis. Frank the Ghost Martin plans to utilize lateral and backward movement to keep Davis off balance and prevent him from landing clean shots. By constantly changing angles and distances, he intends to make it difficult for Davis to set up his offense and force him to adjust to his movements. Circling away from Davis's power hand is also a strategic move Derrick James is training Frank on. This not only makes it harder for Davis to land his power punches, but also creates openings for counterattacks. By moving away from his power side, Frank Martin will force Davis to reach and expose himself to counters. The main thing is to ensure being awkward all night for Gervonta Davis, and since Davis knows how to adjust, Frank planned to also nullify his power shots. Counterattacks are an essential part of nullifying Davis's offense. While he is aggressive and looks to dictate the pace of the fight, he can be vulnerable when he overcommits or leaves himself open. Frank plans look for opportunities to counter Davis's attacks with quick, accurate punches. Timing is key, and this is why Frank Martin is working on reflex training to capitalize on any mistakes or openings that Davis presents. Clinching and holding. We all know clinching and holding are defensive tactics that can disrupt an opponent's rhythm and nullify their offense. When facing a powerful puncher like Gervonta, Tank, Davis, clinching and holding can be effective strategies to tire him out and frustrate his attacks. Frank will grab Tank's body to control his movement and prevent him from landing clean punches. Holding, on the other hand, typically involves wrapping his arms around him to neutralize his offense and create separation. Against Davis, clinching and holding can be particularly effective in close quarters, where he may be looking to unleash his power shots. By tying him up and limiting his ability to generate power, the Ghost can nullify Davis's strength and buy themselves time to recover or regroup. However, it's essential for Frank Martin to use clinching and holding judiciously. Overuse of these tactics can result in penalties from the referee, such as warnings or point deductions. Additionally, excessive clinching and holding can lead to fatigue, diminishing a boxer's stamina and overall performance in the later rounds. Therefore, while clinching and holding can be valuable tools in nullifying Davis's offense, Frank should employ them strategically and sparingly to maximize the effectiveness without incurring penalties or compromising their own performance. But hopefully, we don't witness another Harvey Doc disaster when Frank makes everyone believe that night. And finally, the most important part of the fight which Frank Martin is bringing, jab. This is what he plans to do. Establishing range. Martin plans to use his jab to measure the distance and keep Davis at bay, preventing him from getting into his preferred range where he can unleash power punches. Setting up other punches. The jab can be used to set up combinations, distracting Davis and creating openings for Martin to land more significant punches. Disrupting Davis's timing. By consistently jabbing, Martin can disrupt Davis's rhythm and timing, making it difficult for Davis to launch his own attacks effectively. Protecting against counterattacks. A sharp jab can also serve as a defensive tool, keeping Davis occupied and less likely to counter Martin's punches. Controlling the pace. Martin can use his jab to control the pace of the fight, slowing it down to a pace that suits his style and frustrates Davis. Maintaining distance. By keeping Davis at the end of his jab, Martin can avoid getting into close exchanges where Davis's power would be more dangerous. Creating angles. Martin can use his jab to create angles for himself, allowing him to attack from different positions and keep Davis off balance. Managing stamina. Using the jab effectively can help Martin conserve energy, as it is less taxing than throwing power punches constantly. I know you all think it is impossible, but if Frank Martin does his homework well and doesn't feel too big to listen to Derrick James, we might be in for another upset. And you might probably be saying another casual YouTuber talking the impossible. Well, I just don't follow the crowd. But do well to like, share, and subscribe. And if you think it is impossible, let me know what you think in the comments section. Stay punching, guys.